if the 76ers falter in the playoffs early, do you think the Knicks should make a pitch for Embiid? Let's open this up and just say, if they fail early in the playoffs, and I would assume anything before the conference finals means early, you guys see Embiid maybe not being in Philly?
I think it's possible. I honestly, just because I think if that happens, and I think there's a possibility, the first shoe to drop would have to be James Harden leaving. And I know how much Embiid loves Philly and everything that's been going on there, and he's really embodied the organization and the city, and like you can tell the love's there. I think it's really possible though at this point, just because what happens. We've gone through it so many times. At a certain point, we've seen this story over and over again. I think to answer the question, I think the Knicks are in good position. I mean, I think every team should kick the tires on it. Like, this is a dude that's going to be one of the top three in the MVP voting, might even be the MVP. I think you have to have that conversation, but it all comes down to the most important thing. How do you go out in the playoffs? If you go out, you get your ass kicked in the second round by the Celtics, like get 5-1 and it's not very close. Like, yeah, I think there's a legitimate possibility. You play them tough 7-game series and it's a whatever, just a crazy scenario, then I think he sticks around. But it's going to be interesting.
What do you think, Seth?
On one hand, I don't want to go down the who's the next star to get traded. Although, at this point, Embiid has probably been a guy who's been there long enough and given enough that he maybe has earned the right to. Hey, it's not happening here. Let's we did our best, shake hands and kind of move along. So can I see that happening? Yeah. And as Mo says, like this is at times we've been critical of the Knicks front office, but they've put themselves in a position, to be able to um go after stars. It doesn't hurt that some of their young players have developed. I don't know, with Philly's roster, he probably doesn't make a lot of sense, but Emmanuel quickly is probably a someone whose trade value has appreciated greatly over the course of the year, and so yeah, I think that the Knicks, who if they want a star to even go above Jalen Brunson, obviously anyone who becomes available above a certain level, they have to.
I I don't think Embiid would leave. Not this summer. They've got flexibility on the roster, like you mentioned. They could lose Harden. That maybe that's a sign in trade, and they get something back. Still have Tobias Harris. I think he would be in for a reboot. I mean, and I'm obviously projecting. He may never leave. If I were Joel Embiid, I would never leave. He's the king of Philadelphia. Why would you leave? I mean, you have an organization that's going to cater to you, treat you well. Never heard him say that he didn't like living in Philly. Like, it's not. It seems to me like it's a great place to live and work. And as long as you're going to be a top 5 player in the league, which I think Embiid should be able to for a while, he's going to have a team catering to him from every standpoint, including roster construction. So I would think this summer, yeah, the Knicks everybody should call at every opportunity, but I think it would be fruitless.
It's not for us to say like what a player's preferences should be, but
Sure.
the counterfactual is, would any of us have begrudged Damian Lillard if he'd have asked out of Portland 3 or 4 years ago?
No.
No, but I'll be
And
annoyed if he does it now.
and so that is like I think the writing was on the wall that long ago in Portland that it probably was never happening at a championship level there. At least not in sort of this iteration of the team. Um, if you get to a point now, like again, you're a decade into your career, there's more ground behind you than there's ahead of you. I have no problem at all with the player like deciding, you know what, I want to win championships, and I don't think it's going to happen here. So we need to figure something out. I think he's super within his rights as long as it's handled like respectfully and professionally rather than poutily.
And Embiid has done it. Embiid has done right by the city of Philadelphia. Like he's really like he's been completely bought
He's
in.
the king of Philadelphia, and I
And
don't say that lightly.
And I'm with you, Dave, in that like yeah, you should never leave when you're in that instance. Kevin Garnett was the king of Minnesota, and they went nowhere. Now this team's better. Obviously, the organization's better. They're doing much better. I like this team around him. You know, like they've done a good job, and Daryl Morey has built a team around him. For me, it all hinges on like I don't think they have as much flexibility as you think, Dave. If Harden leaves, you know, even in a sign and trade, I can't imagine he's bringing that much back for you. That's going to put you in a contender. And if he leaves, and this was the best Philadelphia 76er team you've been on since you've been there, if you're Joel Embiid, you have to start looking at it. Wow, we have Thunder in LA. This is wild. Sorry, guys, I got totally sidetracked. That might be time for me to shut up.
I would just say this. Yeah, the team itself, I think Daryl Morey can't be underestimated here when it comes to retooling a roster. I mean, he retooled this one. I think he did a pretty good job. East. Well, I mean, but it's working, right? Like this is a team. And by the way, so it's obviously pretty early and they're playing really good basketball. So I think that they're going to make the conference finals. They're just tough. And I think
wow.
I do.
That's
I think
quite a prediction.
Wow.
I think it's Philly and I think it's Milwaukee. I think that they've got it.
If you tweeted that the day before the first day of practice before the conference finals, I think they'd bring a framed copy of that tweet out for Marcus Smart to sign at Celtics practice.